Well, I'm meant to upload this and make this video on Sunday, but I did not get up till 3:30. I did not get up till 3:30 Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, and so I never got around to making it. And today it's Wednesday right now. I don't know if I'll have this uploaded by the end of the night or not because it's currently 8:30. But I haven't had time because Monday, Tuesday, and part of today, I was with a friend's and we hung out the whole weekend. We watched Blast from the Past movies and TV shows and stuff. So I never really got around to making the video. And so what I'm planning on doing is, before I give you the actual coming out story, I'm going to give you background information as to why I wanted to make this video. Before I came out, I did what every little 16-year-old kid would do. Went to YouTube. Went to YouTube, searched coming out stories. Went to Google, searched coming out stories. Read coming out stories. Watched coming out stories on YouTube. Even went to some personal websites that some people had and read and watched their videos. Read their stories and watched their videos. And so that's what I want to do, and that's helped me so much. And I kind of want to do that too, and give back, back to what they've done to me. And I hope that some little kid or teenager or adult even, decided that they wanted to come out, that they'd look at my video and watch my video and say, oh, okay, well, back when I was 16, I got on YouTube and I searched out coming out stories, and they've kind of given me some kind of like information on what to do, when to tell your family. And I watched videos. I watched a TROYE SIVAN video, which, if any of you know him, you must go subscribe to him. He's amazing. I've also watched some random ones from some kids all around the world, and so I decided it was time for me to tell my family. So I used my neighbor's Wi-Fi, and I got on Facebook and messaged my aunt and asked her how she came out, because my aunt is a lesbian and she was married at the time, I believe. And I messaged her. I'm like, how'd you come out to Graham and Pat? And she told me her story about how she decided that she talked to her mom and decided she wanted to go for a drive. And so they went out driving around, and she just kind of told Graham, my grandmother. And my grandfather, of course, told my grandfather. And of course, my mom and my uncle and my other aunt were just like, it took you this long to tell us. I mean, I think they've already known. But, so she's like, why do you ask? And I said, well, because I'm trying to figure out how to tell mom and dad. So it was kind of my way of coming out to my aunt, just kind of like inserting into the conversation, saying, well, I kind of wanted to tell mom and dad. And she was like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, just be straightforward with them. She's like, talk to them. And of course, some of the videos I watched got me scared, because I was sitting here thinking, because some of the kids had a bad experience. Like, one of them, their parents kicked them out. And so, I was kind of scared that my parents, not really my mom, but my dad, would kind of like kick me out. And I don't know why. My dad's great, but it's just this fear, irrational fear that I had. And so I tell all my friends, and of course my friends are just like, really? Now you tell us. After a year of knowing you, now you tell us. Because I didn't have any friends in middle school. I didn't get any friends until I started up in high school, in about my sophomore year. And when I was 16, I was a 16-year-old junior. Actually, I was doing this like the week before prom. Actually, it was the week of prom. And so I told my grandmother, I told my other aunt, and I told my uncle, and so it was time for me to tell my parents. And so, of course, my aunt, she messages me the next day, which is the day I had to go pick up my tux. And I checked it in the morning. She apparently messaged me at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I checked it before I went to school, and she was like, hey, she goes, I texted your mom and told her. My mouth dropped, because I wasn't sure what mom was going to say, because my mom had already left for work. My brother and I had to get up by myself, because my dad left for work before my mom did, and my mom left. before we even got up for school. So we had to get ourselves up. So I would not see Mom until she drove me to go get my tuxedo the next town over. And so I went through the whole day worrying about that. And but of course my aunt didn't tell my mom the whole story. So the whole drive, I was worrying about it at lunch. I was sitting there, I was freaking out. I didn't eat anything. My friends were just like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, and I told them what went on, and they're just like, "Oh, your mom's gonna be fine. Calm down." But I was freaking out. I have really bad panic attacks sometimes, and so I was on the verge of one of those during for the entire lunch period. And so my mom picked me up after school, and my brother rode the bus to our house, and my mom picked me up after school because we were going to go straight to Hawkinsville, which is the town right next to Katie's, where I grew up. And we drove most of the way there in silence. She looks at me, she goes, "Dave, there's just something you need to tell me." And me, I didn't say anything. I was freaking out. I opened and shut my mouth the whole drive, and my mom's just like, David, will driving help you talk to me? Do I need to pull over and let you drive? Because I only have my permit at this time. And I was like, no, you just drive. And my mom's like, okay. When we get to Hawkinsville, we're in the tuxedo store, and of course it's run by an elderly Japanese couple. And they're trying to talk to me. I barely understand what they're saying because their accent is so thick because they were an elderly couple. They had moved here maybe 10 years before they opened up, maybe 10 years when they opened up the shop. And I look at my mom's trying to talk to me at the same time. I'm trying to understand what this elderly Japanese lady is trying to say. I'm like, "Mom, could you please be quiet?" And so we got my tuxedo. I mean, we were picking it up. We were having it fitted. And we pick it up. We leave. And Mom, as we're leaving, Mom's like, "David, how about you drive?" I'm like, "Okay." And so I drove the way home. And my mom kept asking me, "Dave, is there something you need to tell me?" And for the whole 30-minute drive back, I kept opening and shutting my mouth, opening and shutting my mouth, opening and shutting my mouth. I wasn't able to say anything. And so we pull up to Food Giant, which is a local grocery store in my small town. We pull up into, it was Food Giant. And we pulled into the side that you park over here, you could park in the parking lot over here. We pulled over here, we parked into the side of the building, on the side of the building. She looks over at me, David, and she looks over at me and she goes, "David, are you bisexual?" And I just kind of like let my head fall down because I knew I wasn't bisexual, but that's kind of like my aunt's way of kind of like transitioning me into that apparently. And so I was like, "Yes," and she's like, "Okay, don't you feel better now for telling me?" And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, "But when we get home, you're telling your father." And I just kind of like, my head just kind of like sunk. It's like, "Now let's go inside the house and get the groceries. Go inside the store and get the groceries." We were in there for about 20 minutes picking up stuff just for the week. And we came back outside and we put all the things in the vehicle. Mom looks at me and she goes, "I'm going to drive home." I'm like, "Okay." Because at my house, there's a busy street that we had an accident on. So my mom doesn't trust going across that street. So she drives. Well, she drove home and we pulled into the driveway and we're getting stuff out of the Taurus and the Ford Taurus station wagon. And we took it into the house and my mom looks at me and she calls my dad over because she honked the horn. My dad was already outside mowing the grass. So as he pulled up, she honked the horn to get him to come over and to help with the groceries. And so my mom looks at me, and my dad walks over. She looks at me and she goes, "David, tell him." And I couldn't say anything. Like I said, I kept opening my mouth and shutting my mouth, opening my mouth and shutting my mouth. And my dad goes, "David, what is it?" Because my dad didn't know. I was the first person to see my mom besides people at work. And so I couldn't tell him. So my mom looks at me, she goes, "David, tell him." And I couldn't do it. So mom looks over at him, she goes, "Troy, he's bisexual." My dad goes, "Well, at least he likes girls too." And of course my heart sunk because I knew I wasn't bisexual. I knew I was gay. And so that's kind of my entire coming out story. Like there, I mean, it's not big. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't. I think my mom knows I'm gay. But my dad, I think my dad still has his hope that I like girls and that I'll marry a girl. But I think he knows that it's not true and that it's not going to happen. But I think he's hoping, and I think that's a good thing for him. But I think he knows, but he's trying to process in a processy way, I guess. It's a long process for him. But yeah, that's my coming out story. It's not terrifying. It doesn't. I mean, it was terrifying to me, but now that I look back on it, it's just like I couldn't tell them this. I couldn't say those two words. I'm gay, but all in all, I think the lesson I'm trying to give here is, although we see stories on YouTube and on websites for other people that about these horrific coming out stories and that how they got kicked out of the house, how their dad pulled a gun or something. And I just kind of wanted to show the world that they're not all like that. So if your parents love you, then honestly, they will accept you. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just, it's not complicated. It's not complicated. You still have the ability to love. It's just not the gender that you were supposed to be naturally drawn to. But yeah, that's kind of my coming out story. Kind of leave some comments or shoot me a message or something about what you want the next video to be. I'm kind of thinking like a background info type of video or something. I'm not sure yet. I'm unsure of a lot of things. But send me some ideas for my next video. And I'm sorry if the quality of this video is bad. I'm using my laptop because my tablet camera is awful. It is awful. And I don't have iPhones or smartphones like a lot of people have nowadays. I still got an old flip phone. And before that I had a full keyboard little doohickey that I ran over 3 times and washed twice. It didn't survive the second washing. But yeah, so I'm sorry about the video quality. I'm kind of working with what I got. I don't have a camera that works as well as this, so this is what I'm using. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, talk to other people, get them to subscribe, get them to subscribe, get them to like my Facebook page, or follow me on Twitter. All these things help, especially subscribing and liking my video. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Remember, guys, and I say this at the end of every video: be true to you.